Young ballerina Nia Washington fought her way from the inner city to the stage at Lincoln Center. But when a strained Achilles and bitter breakup pushes her into the wings, she retreats to an easy gig at teaching at an elite boarding school. Unfortunately, the bucolic campus is the worst place to launch a comeback. Shortly after she arrives, she discovers the drowned body of a teenage student. Drawn into the mystery of the girl's death, she becomes embroiled in a world of gossip, cheating, and lies where hyper-competitive teens will stop at nothing to hide their secrets. And when she begins to fall for a fellow teacher, she wonders even if she can trust herself, especially when she catches him in a big lie. Nia will have to use all of her street smarts to protect her pupils, vindicate a wrongfully accused student, and ultimately save herself. It's a fight to the finale, one dark turn at a time. I have two little girls, and my worst fear is that they're going to grow into teenagers. And I started to think about all the horrible things that could happen, like manipulative boyfriends with cell phone cameras, and throngs of mean girls with Twitter accounts. And all of this was going on in my head when I started to write Dark Turns. Plus, I've always been a fan of ballet, and my little girls, of course, went to ballet lessons. So I started to think about the competition involved in that, especially if they got serious in it, and it spawned this novel. I think it's really important for writers to research their topic, to have authenticity in their story. And so I had never taken dance before, and I thought, well, if I'm going to write a story where dance is going to be prominent, I better get myself into a dance class. So I enrolled in an adult ballet class that was mostly retired former ballerinas, and did my best not to hurt myself. And after 2 years, I actually, at the end of it, performed in the recital way in the back, where very few people could see me except my cheering husband. And it was a great experience, though. It taught me a lot about how the fluid motions that you see on the stage are really just so painfully articulated in practice, and how much work and really athleticism goes into dance. And so I have a definite appreciation for dance that I wouldn't have had I not struggled through a class for 2 years. I think people are fascinated with anything that shows that kind of dedication. Dance isn't just artistry or athleticism. It really is a lifestyle. People that reach that pinnacle of dance have to dedicate pretty much every waking moment to their art. It informs what they eat. They have to practice for hours and hours on end each day. And I think we admire it, but we also wonder psychologically who you have to be in order to do that. And I think it's intriguing, and it makes for good suspense plots. I did a lot of research into the psychology of sociopaths, which most murderers in thriller books are somewhat sociopaths. And so that was interesting. I think my journalism background definitely always sends me to the library before I start writing anything. So that definitely influenced me. Also, I started my career, I used to cover crime for the Bergen Record on the weekends. And I never really got high up enough to cover homicide cases. Fortunately, there weren't many when I was there. But it definitely always has you thinking about people's motivations. And also, I think it teaches you that when bad things happen, often the person themselves has a justification as why it's not so bad. So you really start to think of, how do I create a multifaceted villain that has a problem, or how is this person justifying what they're doing in their own head? Because otherwise you just end up with someone who's flat out crazy, and that's not as interesting, I think, as having someone who can hide as a good person because they've been able to justify their actions with some, even what they might consider noble motives. When creating a trailer, I was thinking, how do I communicate my story without a lot of voiceover? Because really it is a different medium, and I think that people want to see the images and still get an idea of your story. And obviously, I don't have an endless budget to film in different locations. So I had the idea of hiring a dancer and using newspaper headlines to really convey the different plot points that kind of create the tension in the story. So we rented a space in New York City, and she danced, and some free trial software later, we had the graphics going and edited it all together. My next project, actually my editor already has it in hand. It's a book about an insurance scam, and I hope it is the first of many involving an insurance investigator with some unique talents.